For part 2, we'll now take a look at these two lesser issues with respect to Matthew versus Acts and the death of Judas. Starting with this one. A clue to what's going on here can be seen in that Matthew and Luke use two different words to describe the transaction. The word used by Matthew is this one, a word which means to do business in the marketplace, whether buying or selling. In other words, it's not specific to the act of buying, but refers to the transaction of business. In contrast, Luke uses this word. This is a general term referring to possession or acquisition, and can include buying. Now this may seem a bit technical, but the difference in words is quite important. Matthew says that the priest transacted business for the obtaining of the field, while Luke writes in terms of Judas acquiring or possessing the field. Why is there a difference? First of all, some have remarked on the seeming coincidence of the priest buying the very field Judas died in. But what these differences tell us is that there's no coincidence at all, but a purposeful act. Once Judas died in the field, the land became defiled by his corpse. That means it would be perfectly suited to become a full-time cemetery. In their social world, gossip would readily get around as to where and how Judas died. And it wouldn't take much for the decision to be made by the priest to purchase the field in Judas's name, and then turn it into a cemetery. Yes, you have a problem?
No, you do. You're just making all this crap up, Holding. There's nothing in the text about the priests purchasing the field in Judas's name instead of for themselves.
You mean apart from the different words used? Well, in fact, there's more, a point where another social factor comes into play. Notice in Matthew it says that the money cannot be put back into the treasury, because it's blood money. As a result, a factor comes into play related to something we discussed in this vid on ritual purity. So because of the principles of ritual purity, the money was profaned and tainted by the way it was used. So are the way even today a charity may refuse money if it is gained by ill-gotten means. Now from this it follows that when the priest transacted the business of the field, in order to avoid association with ritual impurity, they would have bought the field in the name of Judas Iscariot, the one whose blood money it was. And now we see why there's a difference in the words used by Matthew and Luke. Matthew writes as one who had first-hand knowledge of the situation as one of Jesus' apostles, while Luke, writing some 30 years after the fact and as a non-eyewitness, is presenting the matter as it would appear according to property and transaction records available to the public. That leaves this issue, and it's a fairly simple one. This objection assumes that what was known to all the dwellers was Judas's guts busting in the field. But it's better to say that the phrase modifies all that precedes it. After all, as nasty as it would be, Judas's gut burst would hardly warrant a field of blood designation for the whole property. The field of blood name was derived, even as Matthew says, from the act of purchase with the reward of Judas's iniquity. And what iniquity was that? The betrayal of innocent blood, which Luke recorded in his own gospel.